these are some of the fond memories I have of my friend Benny LaSpina, who worked with me at McDonald's in Methuen by the Methuen Loop between 1998 and summer of 1998 and summer of 2000. Benny passed away at the end of March in 2020 of a heart attack. He was working, I believe, at the Seabrook McDonald's at the time, and he just collapsed during his late night shift into early morning shift. He was a great friend, and my friend Teresa and I have so many fond memories of him working with us at McDonald's, and I'd like to share a few now. Benny would always have a certain quote. He'd always say, "We're all going McMental," because we all worked at McDonald's, so we were going McMental. Then Benny would always greet everyone in the morning with a classic, "Good morning." With me it was, "Good morning, Mark." Always singing out everyone's names with a good morning. Benny would usually explain stuff to me, and sometimes he'd get annoyed at me because I wouldn't know what he was talking about. And then when I'd finally get it, he'd go, Right. One time, we were all going to the Rochester McDonald's or somewhere in Rochester to do some kind of a training with the shift leads and the crew chiefs and everybody. On the way home, Benny was getting gas, and he left the gas tank door open, so we had to pull him over to shut it. A fond memory I have is when Benny, after work, we worked at Hampton Beach McDonald's in the summer of 2000. He took us to work. He drove us to work, and then on the way home, he goes, "Oh, we're going to just drive by the ocean to get some sights of the ocean." And on the way home, he took us all and bought us all candy. And then I remember when we were getting toward the Methuen McDonald's, I was talking about how I didn't have a girlfriend. You know, I have to stick watching porn. And he'd go, "Oh, Mark, oh my God." He'd be describing. He goes, "Tell me about the porn, Mark. Does it have this or that or this?" And we'd be giggling. Everyone in the car would be giggling and laughing and cracking up. And I'd be like, yeah. And we'd be cracking up about that subject. So, getting back to Benny and the beach, he once lived in Florida. He's from Methuen. He was from Methuen, but he moved to Florida for a time. And I remember him telling me, like, someday, like, he loved to go live at the beach. That was, like, his place to get away. He loved it. He'd also tell me that my friend Teresa was crazy about me, but overall, we were just friends. And everyone's like, "Oh, you and Teresa. I'm like, "Yeah, Teresa, we're just friends." "Oh, she's crazy about you, Mark. She's crazy about you." When I got my hair bleached in August of 2000, he said, "Mark, I hate it. You look like a speckled skunk." One time, Benny and I were driving back from, I think, Hampton Beach McDonald's, and we stopped at the Seabrook Market after work. He had to buy steak or something, I don't know, for a family barbecue or something. And we bought a lottery ticket. And he told me pick the numbers. There were 3 numbers, I think. So I wanted to pick the numbers that reflected the letters G-A-Y, just for fun. Because, like, it was a joke between me and Benny. And he goes, "Mark, that's fun. Okay, we'll do that." So I remember when the numbers came out, he goes, "We almost won. We were very close at winning." I'm like, "Oh, wow." I mean, think about it. Those numbers I picked, you know, were just for fun. But we almost could have won something with it. He told me, "Mark, I split it with you. If we win, you pick the numbers, I'll split it with you." So he was very generous, that guy. He was an opening manager, so every time he'd make the coffee and muffins, my dad would come by to drop me off when I used to work mornings before I got my license. So my dad would go, "Benny, make a nice cup of coffee." So I'd always joke with Benny. I go, "Benny, my dad thinks you make a really nice cup of coffee, and you're his cup of tea." He'd go, "Oh, Ma, come on now." Benny loved cheese. He'd tell me, he'd go, "Oh, I love cheese. I don't know where I'd be without it. I love it." And he'd just take a piece of cheese from the holding bin and just snack on it as he'd say this. I remember being bored when we were working at the Hampton Beach McDonald's, and one day with my creativity, I just pretend to be Benny singing to an animated steak bagel. And I go, as I was walking home one day, I saw a steak bagel in the rain. Steak bagel, steak. I said, steak bagel, what's wrong with you? He said to me, a boo-hoo-hoo-hoo, steak bagel, steak. And the bagel was kind of sad because he wasn't the more favored over the ham, egg, and cheese, because that was like the more popular one. But then Benny's like, I say, steak bagel, you're juicy, tender, sweet. Oh, hey, steak bagel, you're the one I want to eat, steak bagel. And Benny was like, Mark, stop that. And then all the managers there, Mark, stop singing about the steak bagel. Benny told me that he once worked for Burger King, right down by the Methuen Loop, when it was the Methuen Mall over there. And he was involved in a robbery one time. A felon held him up. And then Benny told me that he told the story to one of the customers, an old customer. And the customer goes, you should have pulled your big whopper shot that bastard. So then Benny was being comedic, and he'd say that his whopper was very small. And not the gun. His whopper. We started cracking up with that. Benny would would always talk about his friend, kind of like a second fatherhood to his nephew Mark. He would take Mark everywhere. I remember one time they came through the drive-thru. They were going on the way to a Red Sox game. Benny was always speaking of Mark. He'd take him everywhere. I remember Benny knew one of the customers in the morning, the early morning customers. He'd go, Uncle Eddie, Uncle Eddie. He knew him as Uncle Eddie. And there was another guy, Luigi. So we go, Mr. Luigi. And then there were this couple called Eddie and Jeannie. So we go, Eddie, Jeannie! He'd always sing on everyone's names. He was very happy to see everybody. One memory I have is when Benny was cleaning the shake machine, which was always broken. And he'd go, now we're going to hear birdies. We're going to hear birdies. And the machine would go... One thing I remember was Benny and his mysterious way he'd say my name. Whenever he'd look at me and I say something weird or that came off as being very, tempting in a sensuous way, like, Mark, with a big smile, mysterious look, like, Mark, what are you, oh my gosh, you're starting to, make me wonder, what are you talking about, Mark, Mark. Me being television obsessed with Benny was another thing. You know how I always create TV theme songs. I made one about him. His would have been a sitcom called Benny, and it would have starred him, and it would have been an instrumental theme song. Like that. And it would have been because he likes to dance and everything and jot around, so. And that was what I did for him. I thought of it, he would have been a great sitcom if he was a character sitcom actor. And then I'd always be singing TV theme songs, and always talking about Give Me a Break, and Melrose Place, and all those shows. And then the guys at work, the Spanish guys, would be talking about, Marigon, Cabron, Marigon. So I go, Benny, I pretend to be Benny, and I'd be doing the Give Me a Break theme song. Give me a break. The beats of the theme song to the end of the theme song. So I go, oh, Marigon, give me a break, like that. And I pretend Benny was singing it. I go, Benny, Marigon, give me a break. He hated that. He's like, Mark, I don't like that word, whatever. Marigon. It's not nice. I don't like it. So, the thing is, when you work with a bunch of Spanish guys, you're going to get words such as Marigon, Pato, Cabron, all those words. So, at our store, a lot of Spanish guys use them. They were catchy. They used some of them at me, too. And other guys there, too. So, then I pretended to be Benny one time imitating Alf, the alien Alf from the sitcom, when he was singing the Happy Fappy song. Happy Fappy to me, Happy Fappy to me. Because Benny had that kind of tone, that high-pitched tone, really high-pitched. Then Benny would be shaking his head at times, And, whenever he was like, things were driving him McMental, he'd go, "Oh, God. Oh, God." He'd always do that. "Oh, God." Another thing I remember was Benny and his friendship with one of the customers named Matt. He came into the store a few times in 1999. Matt was a big character. And then I tell him, I go, "Benny, I saw Matt smoking outside." And Benny would go, "Oh, Matt smokes like a chimney, like a chimney." And he'd shake his head in disgust because he hated smoking. I don't think he fully hated it. I think I actually saw Benny smoke one time, but he wasn't a big smoker. I remember Benny going, "I don't care what Kelly tells me. I'm taking January 1st, 2000 off. Every computer's going to be down. She can get someone else." Because Benny was opening manager, and he was having these thoughts that, Y2K was going to happen. Then when Benny left Methuen 1 at the Loop to go to Methuen 2 on Haverhill Street, I became opening manager. I'm like, "Benny, Kelly's going to make me opening manager after you leave over there." "All right, Mark. Oh, yeah, they're going to put your photo right next to hers on the wall. Oh, yeah." And that was a riot. I was laughing when he said that. And then we had a guy who was Turkish, from Turkey, named Yilmaz, that used to work there. And he just shout out all obscene things all the time. And with Benny, he'd go, "Benny Game," or "Benny Cuckoo," in his accent. "Benny Game, Benny Cuckoo." And we'd all laugh. One time, I remember watching the Golden Girls about Henny Penny Benny. Henny Penny. And then I go, "Benny, I'm going to start calling you Henny Penny Benny." So I go, "That's Henny Penny Benny over there." Now, Henny Penny Benny, he was, and Henny Penny, he was, and Henny Penny Benny, he thought his balls were dropping. "My balls are dropping! My balls are dropping!" And Benny would just crack up when he'd hear that. He'd shake his head in disgust, but I'd get him to crack up all the time. Sometimes I'd pretend to be Baby Bop on Barney and Friends and go, "It's my best buddy, BJ." And he'd always smile because he was BJ LaSpina. Benny, I don't know, James LaSpina, but he was also a junior, Benny Jr. LaSpina. I was Benny's Secret Santa in 1999, when we had the Christmas party at the, the Gaythorn. It was called the Gaythorn, which is no longer a club. I was his Secret Santa, and I bought him soap on a rope, I think Aspen soap on a rope, and cologne. And he told me he broke out on a rash because of the soap, but he kept the cologne. And I remember I wrote him a several-page, single-spaced note I typed out for him. Benny and I got into little arguments at times at work, and around that time, we were arguing with one another still. But we were always friends, so I said, "I drive you McMental, but, you mean a lot to me. You're a great friend. You're one of the best coworkers. Every time you're included on these shifts, we have so much fun." So, and he liked that. He was, reading it. He was shaking his head in disgust sometimes. "Oh, God, oh, God, oh, boy." But he smiled. He liked it. Benny and I dancing at the Christmas party together with friends Jessica, Raquel. He looked at me with a big smile and goes, "Mark, don't dance too close to me. You know what people are going to think." And then he just started bursting into laughter. And then at times, after I left McDonald's when I was in college, at Marymount College, and I'd take my mom out to go shopping, I'd say, "Let's drive around and see if Benny's outside." And whenever he was outside doing yard work, he would always be happy to see me and my mom. "Mark, how you doing? Great to see you." After I dropped from 300 to 150 in 2004, 3 to 4, when he saw me when he was at the Pleasant Street McDonald's by this time in 2005, and I hadn't seen him for a couple of years. And he goes, "Mark, oh my God, you are humongous. Mark, you are humongous." And I saw him that time when I was moving to LA. It was just before I moved to LA, like the week before. And that was, a year and a half after I had lost all the weight. I hadn't seen him in all that time. And then I'd see him at times over the years. Me and my friend Teresa, I come home for Christmas from living in LA, and in December, and we go see him either, at Pelham Street, because he was still working there in like 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I mean, he was there all those years. And I'm like, Benny, I know it's late. It was like around 5:30 in the morning, because he was working the late night shift into mornings. And that was a 24-hour show, McDonald's. So I said, Benny, I hope you don't think we're bothering you. Oh, no, it's great to see you. I'm like, Benny, you know how I was. I'd always bother you, get on your case. He goes, oh, Mark, you guys are some of the best. Don't worry. And the last time I remember seeing him in 2012, early 2012, I told him, I said, Benny, all the people you've worked with, out of everybody you work with, which store was the best? Was it our store in Methuen 1 by the Loop? Was it by the Haverhill Street McDonald's, Methuen 2? Was it this Pelham Street McDonald's? And he shook his head and he goes, Mark, you guys were the best. You guys were the best. So that's something I'd always remember about Benny. That was the last thing he told me. And he's told us, he goes, come again. Great to see you guys. Come again. But I didn't see him anymore after that point. He had transferred. I know his mom passed away around right after that. And he had moved to, I believe it was Amesbury. And he transferred to the McDonald's over there at Seabrook. So I'd always say, Teresa, we have to go see Benny. Like, when I come home for Christmas, but we never went. And then I moved home in 2019, we have to go see Benny. And then I remember saying that to myself that morning I got the news that he had passed away. The year before he passed away, they thought he had a stroke, but everything turned out okay. It was just a reaction to some medicines he was on. But he was fine. And then in 2020, at the end of March, he went to work. It was like, I don't know, mid-11 at night to like maybe 7 in the morning. And it was like, I don't know, getting close to morning. And he had alerted one of the coworkers he wasn't feeling well. So they gave him some orange juice. He drank a little bit, and then he just collapsed. And we never got to see him. I never got to see him since 2012. So, but I have so many fun memories of Benny. And out of all the coworkers I worked with at McDonald's, other than Teresa, he was pretty much one of the best.